Okay, this video is going to give you a step-by-step guide in setting up System Center Configuration Manager 2012, the released candidate version. This will be the same thing as the regular version when it comes out. So I have a domain controller. I'm going to install the SCCM 2012 server onto this computer. This would be the same thing if you were using a member server that wasn't a domain controller. So the first thing, I'm going to go ahead and start doing some prereqs. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and start downloading is Microsoft .NET Framework 4.0. Okay, so while that's downloading, I'll go ahead and do a few other prereqs. Okay, open up ADSI Edit. If you're running Windows Server 2008, it should be built in. If you're running Server 03, you're going to have to download the utility. Click Connect to, just click OK. All this default should be fine. And that should take you to your Active Directory containers. Click in the System container. Click New, Object. You want to choose a container type. Click Next, and for here you're going to name it System Management. Okay. Click on the Properties. Click Security. Go ahead and add the SCCM server, whatever server is going to be running SCCM. So in this case, it's just a computer called server. Go ahead and give it the allow permissions to everything. Click the advanced, and then click on the system, the computer that you just added, and then click this object and all descending objects. Click OK and then apply. This will allow SCCM to publish information to Active Directory. If you're not able to change this, SCCM will still work, but this will give you more functionality. So next thing, I'm going to go ahead and open up the extracted CD, or if you download the ISO, you're going to want to click into the SMS setup folder, then the bin folder. If you're running a 64-bit server, which I believe you have to be with SCCM 2012. It does require 64-bit, so you're going to click into the 64-bit, and then you're going to want to go down to this EXTADSCH application. Go ahead and run that. You're going to want to make sure you're logged in with a account that has schema or enterprise admin rights, and it will save a log and the root of C. You're going to want to just make sure that it successfully extended the Active Directory schema. Okay, so that should be fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go back into the server manager, and I'm going to get started installing some of the required roles in order to run SCCM 2012. You're going to want to choose Web Server IIS. Click Next. Click Next. Okay, you're going to want to choose WebDAV Publishing, HTTP redirection. You're going to want to choose ASP.NET. That should be fine there. Go ahead and enable logging tools, tracing. Security, you're going to want to allow Windows authentication. And you're going to want to enable the IIS scripts and tools, and then the IIS management compatibility. Go ahead and make sure all these are checked. Click Next, and then Install. And I'll pause it while this installs this role. Okay, so IIS just finished up. I am going to have to reboot though, because I had automatic updates disabled, so it won't completely install until that's enabled. But .NET 4.0 did get installed, so I'm going to go ahead and click finish and reboot, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that automatic updates are enabled, I was able to go ahead and get that service installed, or the role for web server IIS with the same settings. I'm going to go ahead and start the install for WSUS Service Pack 3 64-bit. The reason I'm installing this is if you're planning on using SCCM to distribute Windows updates, you're going to have to either have the WSUS server, the full version installed on here to integrate with Windows updates, or you're going to have just the console, and you can connect to another machine if you already have WSUS set up on a different server and you want to integrate it with SCCM. Okay. So I'm going to do the full install because I do not have it set up on any other servers. I'm going to use the different port here because SCCM will be using the default one. And then I'll go ahead and let that install. Let's go back to the features in the server manager. You're going to want to add some features in order for SCCM to work correctly. You're going to want to add background intelligent transfer service, remote differential compression, and WinRMIS extensions. Go ahead and click next and install. Alright, so that finished up. Go ahead and click close. Okay, let's go back to features. You're going to want to go to your group policy in the default domain policy. Okay, I'm going to add some roles in here to allow SCCM to be remotely pushed. There's going to be some settings in the firewall that you want to configure. Okay, it's a predefined. You're going to want to allow file and print, sharing, allow the connection, and then you're going to want to add predefined and then Windows Management Instrumentation. Okay, and that should do it. That will allow the clients to get the client pushed to them from the console. And then go ahead and go to your firewall on your local server you're going to be running, and you're going to want to add a new role. You're going to want to allow a port, and then you're going to want to allow the following ports. It's going to be 1433 and let's see here, 4022, and that's going to be ports that you're going to need to allow for SQL to work correctly, or SQL. Okay, and now you're going to want to go ahead and open up IIS, Internet Information Services Manager. I want to go ahead and expand your server, go to sites, and then your default site. You're going to want to click the WebDAV authoring. Go ahead and enable it. Click WebDAV settings, and for allow anonymous property queries, you want that to be true. Allow custom properties false, and allow property queries with infinite depth to be true. And then go ahead and click apply. Click WebDAV authoring rules. Click add a new one. You want all content, all users, read permission. Click OK. That's going to allow SCCM to publish things correctly. Okay, so I'll go ahead and pause it while the WSUS server is still installing. Okay, so that just finished up. I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and install SQL Server 2008 64-bit. Okay, and I'll go ahead and start the configuration for WSUS. Go ahead and start connecting. That's going to verify what server you're going to be pulling the updates from Microsoft. Okay, for the SQL Server, go ahead and click Installation and New Server Standalone. I'll probably post some links and where you can download all these prereqs. Okay. I just install the okay. Okay, so go ahead and install the support files. You're going to have to do that before you can install the SQL Server. Okay, so that just finished up doing that. So we're going to get a warning because this is a domain controller, and we're going to get a firewall warning. That's okay. Click Next. I'm going to go ahead and just install all the different features of SQL Server. I'm pretty sure the only one you actually need is the database engine and the reporting. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just install all of these features. The default instance is fine. Okay, you're going to want to choose you're going to want to choose an account to launch the SQL Server. I'm going to just use the administrator account on the domain that I'm going to be using. I'll add it here as well. And add it here. Then go ahead and install. Okay. Alright, I'll go ahead and pause this. Okay, so the WSUS setup, I'm going to go ahead and click Next on it. Go ahead and choose the languages that you're going to be using. For here, I'm going to not choose any products. I'm going to actually set this up in SCCM, and I'm not going to choose any classifications. It's fine. Then I'm not going to launch the initial sync or the console. Click Next and then Finish. Okay, so I'll go ahead and come back when the SQL Server is done. Alright, so that SQL Server 2008 went ahead and installed OK. Go ahead and click Close. Now you're going to have to download the SQL Server Service Pack 2 update. Okay, go ahead and make sure they're all selected. Click Next. Now you're going to probably have some files in use. You can see this FD host. That's going to need to be closed for this update to complete successfully without having to reboot. So I just killed that process, so it should be good to go now. Okay, and I'll go ahead and pause it while this updates. Alright, so Service Pack 2 for SQL Server 2008 just got installed. And now there is going to be a cumulative update 7 for Service Pack 2 you're going to have to install. It has to be at this latest version in order for SCCM 2012 to work. Okay, we're probably going to have that same file in use. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and kill that. Refresh, and we should be good to go. Okay, I'll go ahead and update it and pause it. Alright, so that cumulative update 7 finished. Okay, so you're going to want to go into Microsoft SQL Server 2008. Click on the Management Studio. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. You're going to want to click in Configuration Tools and SQL Server Configuration Manager. Okay. You're going to want to make sure that TCP/IP is enabled for these. If it's not enabled, SCCM won't be able to communicate with it. Okay. So now you're going to either have to reboot your machine or restart the SQL Server service. Restart. Okay, and that should actually do it, I believe, for the prereqs. You can go ahead and click onto the splash install. I'm going to use the evaluation. Okay, now if you're going to have to download the latest install file updates. I have already done that. But if you didn't, you would just click download and then choose a path to download it to. Okay, go ahead and select your language. You're going to want to choose a unique site code. And give it a description. If you're installing this as a standalone site or new site, go ahead and click that. Okay, and this is where it's going to test to see if it can connect to the SQL server on your server. All went well, so we can go ahead and click next. I'm going to not configure HTTPS because I don't have a PKI configured. So just leave that. I'm going to install the management point on this server. Not. And then go ahead and click next, and it's going to run the prereq checker for the SCCM 2012. Okay, so I got a few warnings. Some are related to not having the recommended memory on the server. That's okay. This is the one I'm worried about. Verify site server has permissions to publish to Active Directory. Okay, so let's go back to the AD-SI edit tool, and this is going to be where we manually created that container. So this is what it's saying we don't have rights to. It looks like I spelled system management wrong. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make a new container. So paste that and finish. So it looks like I missed an E there, was what the issue was. Okay, go ahead and select the server name that's hosting your SCCM. Click the Advanced. Go ahead and click that System, and then click this object and all descending objects. Click Apply, OK, and OK. And I'll go ahead and delete this container that had a typo in it. And let's try to rerun that check and see if that fixes it. Okay, so that failed again. Let me go back in here. I think I may have added the system and not the server for all descending items. There we go. Click Apply. Okay. Let's recheck it now. Alright, so now we should be good to go. It's just the two memory errors or warnings about not having the recommended amount. That's fine. Go ahead and close out this tool. Okay, so I'll go ahead and pause this while it installs the Configuration Manager 2012. Alright, looks like it finished okay. So now if we go into your programs, you should see the System Config Manager 2012. Hopefully it should just open up for us. Alright, so this is what the console is going to look like for 2012. I'll go ahead and walk through a few of just basic things that you're probably going to want to get set up when you first install it. The first is going to be boundaries. This is going to be where or how your computer will search for computers, or how your SCCM server will. Easiest thing is probably to base your boundary on a Active Directory site. Okay, and then for discovery methods, I'm going to go ahead and enable Active Directory system discovery. Then you can choose different OUs or what computers you want to do. For discovery, I'm going to just choose the root of the computers. Okay, click OK. I'm going to run it once a day. Yes. Okay. Okay, and then you can click on your sites and system roles. I'm going to go ahead and add the software update point role to this server. Click next. Software update point, and then next. And then if you're using a proxy server, you can enter that in here. And then use this server as the software update point. I'm going to check that, and I'm going to choose this secondary port, because when we configured WSUS, we did choose that port, the secondary 8530 and 8531. Click synchronize, yep. I'm going to go ahead and just synchronize the updates with Microsoft every day if new ones are available. Here's where you can choose your classifications. And here is where you can choose the products. Okay, for now I'm just going to choose Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2, since that's the only machines that I have in my environment. Okay, you want to uncheck any languages that you're not going to be using. So I'm going to just be using English in this case. Then go ahead and click Next. Okay, and then close. Let me set that resolution back. Okay. And then client settings, let me don't need that right now. Okay, so then if you go back to your sites and then choose here, you're going to want to click on the settings and then client installation settings. You're going to want to choose a account here that has admin rights on any target computer you're going to be pushing the client to. So this could be a domain administrator account or any account that has admin rights on the target machine. I'm going to go ahead and enable this, so when a new machine is detected, if it's a server or workstation, we'll go ahead and put the client on there. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go to the Assets and Compliance and look at the Devices tab. This will show you any computers that it picked up through Active Directory discovery or whatever method you're using. Here is a Windows 7 64-bit machine. Here it is right here. It's joined to the domain. I'm going to go ahead and try to just push this client to it. Okay, so now let me go back to the client, and you can see that it's installing by this SCCM setup.exe that is going to be launched on the target. Now if you didn't include file and print and WMI in the firewall in your group policy, it will most likely fail out and it won't be able to install it remotely from the console. So I'll go ahead and pause it while this installs. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to install, I'm going to go ahead and click the Software Library tab. Right click all software updates, and I'm going to just synchronize it. So that's going to initiate the initial sync so we can see what updates are available to be downloaded. It won't actually download them, it will just get a list of all the current updates from Microsoft. Alright, so it looks like the install has finished on this client. If we click here, we can see this Microsoft System Center 2012. And then the Software Center, this kind of takes the place of the Run Advertise Programs, but you do still have the Config Manager option here in Control Panel. This is kind of a nice new interface to see what's been pushed to you or what's available. So if we go back to the server, we can see that the client is installed on that machine. And I'll go back to the software library and we can go to the software updates and we can see that it has started synchronizing the Windows 7 updates. And from here you could download and deploy them, but that will probably be in a different video if I go over that. So this should give you a pretty thorough step-by-step guide in getting Config Manager 2012 installed.